Several people gathered in Waterville today to talk about Maine's future, specifically in rural areas. The theme of this year's Grow Smart Maine Summit is finding ways to strengthen rural communities around Maine. It brought federal, state, and local perspectives on issues like housing and health care. Despite the challenges rural residents face, organizers of the event say they hope people walk away with a sense of hope.
One of our goals for people who attend today is they come energized and with a level of optimism maybe they didn't walk in with, and the connections. We've left a lot of room for networking so that people can have conversations rather than passively listening to a panel. It's really important for those connections.
These are issues that are cutting across the very diverse kind of rural landscape that we have across the country, and so there's a lot of learning to be done from other states, from other places. It's also what's happening in Maine.
The day consisted of panels, networking, and walking tours throughout Waterville. To learn more about what Grow Smart does, there will be a link on our website.